Wasn't there some speculation that she was on Epstein's yacht at one point in time? There's a war room apparently in England where they're trying to figure out what to do.
Really?
I heard did you hear about that? There was like photos with her and Prince Andrew way back in the day when she was like in her early 20s.
Wow.
It started with a midnight whisper. Meghan Markle called Joe Rogan's team and demanded a takedown. Delete it or else. That line raced through timelines like a spark in dry grass. But here's the twist. While the internet swore there was a voicemail and a threat, no mainstream outlet ever confirmed it. What we can verify is the real timeline around Meghan, Archetypes, Spotify, and Rogan. And that story is already explosive enough. So tonight, we're pulling the rumor apart from the receipts, mapping how a 2-minute claim became a week-long firestorm and why Meghan Markle, Joe Rogan, and Spotify keep colliding in the same headlines even when the facts don't line up. Ready? Because the next 60 seconds might change how you read every viral leak you'll see this year. The story didn't arrive as reporting. It arrived as a vibe. A clipped caption under a reaction video, a headline in all caps, a stitched TikTok where someone swore they'd heard the voicemail. In that swirl, Meghan Markle supposedly called Joe Rogan's production manager after midnight, told him to delete an episode, and hinted there'd be trouble if he didn't. From there, the tale snowballed. Joe Rogan allegedly played Meghan's voicemail on air, Spotify lawyers allegedly received threats, and the internet allegedly had proof that Meghan Markle tried to muzzle the Joe Rogan experience. Notice the pattern: allegedly, supposedly, rumored, no named source, no primary clip, just a flurry of edits that made the claim feel bigger than the evidence. What gave it oxygen was the cast. Meghan Markle already draws clicks, royal baggage, Hollywood polish, and a history with Spotify. Joe Rogan is algorithmic kindling, free speech posture, a massive audience, and a track record of addressing controversies head-on. Add Spotify, the platform that carried both Meghan and Rogan at different moments, and you've got the perfect triangle for a viral claim. Meghan versus Rogan, Rogan versus censorship, Spotify caught in the middle. People didn't just share the rumor, they performed it. Voiceovers, mock transcripts, memes, and breakdowns that repeated the same beats without adding receipts. The details also shifted with every retelling. In one version, Meghan Markle called Joe Rogan directly. In another, she threatened Spotify executives. In a third, Joe Rogan played the clip live and laughed. None of those versions came with verifiable audio, timestamps, or a traceable origin. But the ambiguity made it stickier. If a voicemail could exist, anyone could claim they heard it somewhere else. The less concrete the evidence, the more confident the narrators became. And yet, the reason this rumor traveled so far wasn't just Meghan Markle or Joe Rogan. It was the platform math. A short, dramatic claim beats a slow, sourced explainer every time. A leak sounds like forbidden fruit. A takedown demand sounds like power versus truth. Put them together, and you get the kind of clip that jumps from TikTok to X to YouTube with Meghan Markle's name in one corner and Joe Rogan's in the other. But rumors only get truly dangerous when they collide with real events. So let's put the internet whispers next to the timeline we can actually verify and see where Meghan, Rogan, and Spotify really intersect. First, the receipts. Meghan Markle's podcast Archetypes ran one season on Spotify in 2022. In June 2023, Archewell Audio and Spotify issued a joint line. They'd mutually agreed to part ways. That's on record across mainstream outlets. Days later, Spotify exec Bill Simmons torched Prince Harry and Meghan Markle on his own podcast, calling them "faux-ing grifters." Whatever you think of the insult, the quote is real and drove a fresh media cycle. Fast forward to February 2024, Joe Rogan signs a new, non-exclusive multi-year deal with Spotify. Reports peg the value up to $250 million, and the distribution widens beyond Spotify's walls. This matters because it reinforced Rogan's flagship status read as the rumor ecosystem kept pairing Meghan versus Rogan. Meanwhile, Meghan Markle didn't exit podcasting. She switched partners. In February 2024, she inked a deal with Lemonada Media to redistribute Archetypes across platforms and develop a new show, with rollout updates continuing into 2025 coverage. That is also verified. Now the gap across this entire sourced timeline: Spotify parting in June 2023, Simmons' grifters flare-up, Rogan's 2024 mega deal, Meghan's Lemonada pivot. There's no mainstream confirmation of any midnight call, takedown demand, or on-air voicemail from Meghan Markle to Joe Rogan's team. That claim lives in speculative posts, not in reported journalism. Transition. With the facts pinned, the question becomes, why did a flimsy claim travel farther than the verified story? Let's unpack the mechanics of virality and why Meghan, Rogan, and Spotify keep amplifying each other's headlines, even when the evidence isn't there. Rumors don't go viral by accident, they follow incentives. Meghan Markle is a guaranteed headline. Joe Rogan is a guaranteed reaction. Spotify is the stage both names share. That triangle creates instant tension. Meghan Markle versus Joe Rogan versus censorship. Spotify somewhere in the crossfire. The setup sells itself before anyone asks, where's the proof? The algorithm loves conflict. Short clips, big names, simple stakes. A supposed midnight call is cinematic in 9 words. Add a voicemail, and you give creators a prop they can imitate, subtitle, and remix. Even without audio, people fill in the silence with certainty. The more ambiguous the evidence, the more confident the storytelling becomes. There's also brand gravity. Joe Rogan's show is framed as unfiltered. Meghan Markle's image is framed as curated. When those brands collide, audiences pick a lane fast. Supporters of Joe Rogan assume a cover-up. Supporters of Meghan Markle assume a smear. Each side shares stitches and duets to prove they're right, which tells the algorithm, boost this more. Uncertainty is a feature, not a bug. Maybe There's a Tape is a perfect growth engine. It invites endless updates, explained videos, and leak incoming posts. Every retelling repeats the names: Meghan Markle, Joe Rogan, Spotify. So familiarity turns into perceived truth. Repetition feels like verification, even when nothing new is added. Lastly, the creator economy rewards speed over sourcing. A careful explainer takes time. A dramatic caption takes seconds. If you post first and sound confident, you'll be quoted by someone who didn't check, and then quoted by someone who quoted them. By the time corrections show up, the story has already outrun them. If you manage crisis PR for Meghan Markle, Joe Rogan, or Spotify, you can't fight the algorithm with outrage alone. Next, let's walk through the playbook smart teams use when a rumor detonates at midnight. Start with triage, not tweets. If Meghan Markle's team, Joe Rogan's team, or Spotify wakes up to a midnight call rumor, the first move is verification. What exists? Do we have any real audio, screenshots, or logs? If you're Meghan Markle's comms lead and there's no evidence, you label the claim clearly: unverified, no audio, no contact, and decide whether to go quiet or go targeted. If you're Joe Rogan's camp and you truly never received a call, you bank your receipts. Phone logs, staff affidavits, internal timestamps. If you're Spotify, you coordinate statements so Meghan, Rogan, and the platform don't contradict each other by noon. Then you pick a lane. Option 1, strategic silence. It works when the rumor needs oxygen you control. Let the cycle burn out while you cede your receipts to friendly reporters off record. Option 2, narrow rebuttal. 1 paragraph, 0 adjectives, just facts. No call was made, no voicemail exists, no takedown request was received. Option 3, proactive transparency. Publish a clean timeline with verified times and who was where. For Joe Rogan, that could be a simple on-air note. For Meghan Markle, a concise statement through a spokesperson. For Spotify, a boilerplate clarification that doesn't punch down or escalate. Legal letters are tools, not trump cards. If Meghan Markle's lawyers swing too hard at content creators, it can look like silencing. If Joe Rogan's lawyers grandstand, it can look like chest thumping. The sweet spot is precise and boring. Demand corrections for specific false claims, voicemail played on air, without threatening creators who clearly labeled content as opinion or rumor. Precision keeps the story small. Overreach makes it a saga. Receipts beat rhetoric. A time-stamped call log from Joe Rogan's production phone carries more weight than a fiery monologue. A platform-side audit from Spotify's support ticket system can close loops without drama. If Meghan Markle's side truly had contrary evidence, it would be cataloged, hashed, and shown to a reputable outlet under controlled review. The audience doesn't need a documentary. They need one undeniable artifact. Finally, mind the tone. Sarcasm feels good and ages badly. Moral outrage feels righteous and fuels the clip machine. The winning voice is confident, short, and specific. Name what's false, show what's true, and step away. If the rumor resurfaces, you repost the same receipts. Consistency is credibility. Now that we've mapped the crisis options, let's stack the rumor's claims against the verifiable timeline, point by point, and see what survives contact with receipts. Start with the headline claim. Meghan Markle called Joe Rogan's team at midnight and demanded an episode be deleted. There's no verifiable audio, no credible report, and no traceable origin beyond rumor videos that reference each other. The timeline we can confirm: Meghan's one-season run of Archetypes, the mutual split with Spotify in mid-2023, Bill Simmons' grifters comment, Joe Rogan's 2024 renewal doesn't include any documented confrontation between Meghan Markle and Joe Rogan's production. Without a primary clip, a transcript, or a standard newsroom confirmation, this remains unverified. Next, the voicemail supposedly played on air. If Joe Rogan had broadcast a Meghan Markle voicemail, it would have spawned immediate mainstream pickup, reaction segments, and a searchable record across aggregators. None exists. The story lives in reaction content, not in reporting. That difference matters. Reactions amplify. Reporting verifies. Then, the legal threat angle. The rumor says Spotify received a formal takedown or threat tied to that episode. But major outlets covered Spotify's relationship to both Meghan Markle and Joe Rogan closely. A legal clash of that scale would have surfaced in trade press or business coverage. It didn't. Absent filings or statements, the Spotify panic narrative reads like an embellishment layered onto a trending rumor. What about the broader Meghan tries to control the media motif? There are documented PR battles in her history, responses to tabloid stories, televised interviews, and reputation management. But folding those real dynamics into a brand new, unsubstantiated midnight call is classic rumor alchemy. Take true context, bolt on a sensational claim, and let the mashup feel plausible by association. Plausible isn't proven. Finally, the second tape whispers. Claims of additional recordings circulate because uncertainty is sticky. But a tape exists somewhere is not evidence. It's a narrative device. If a recording surfaces with clear provenance, clean metadata, and corroboration, the story changes. Until then, it's a placeholder that creators use to promise a next episode. With the scorecard set, let's follow the money. When rumors hit names this big, platform incentives shape everything, from what gets amplified to what gets ignored. Next, the business math that keeps Meghan Markle, Joe Rogan, and Spotify orbiting the same headlines. Follow incentives, and the picture sharpens. Joe Rogan is a crown jewel show. Massive hours listened, durable audience, low churn among superfans. Platforms keep crown jewels happy because they anchor subscription value and advertising interest. That's why any rumor that puts Joe Rogan in the middle gets algorithmic priority. Audiences click, watch longer, and argue louder. Meghan Markle, meanwhile, brings a different kind of value: cultural heat. Her projects spike discovery, press, and cross-platform chatter. Even when Meghan Markle isn't on a platform, the conversation around Meghan Markle still benefits the platform's ecosystem. Searches rise, back catalog plays tick up, and creators' rush to publish takes that keep viewers inside the app. Now zoom out to the business model. Platforms optimize for session length and weekly return. Rumors, especially ones pairing Meghan Markle versus Joe Rogan, create sequences. You watch a clip, then a reaction, then a debunk, then a counter-debunk. 4 videos instead of 1. That's gold. It doesn't mean platforms invent rumors. It means the machine rewards anything that extends the session. Whether it's a sourced report or a spicy, "Did you hear?" Deals tell stories too. When one marquee deal ends and another expands, audiences map motives onto the moves. Spotify chose sides. In reality, these are separate negotiations with separate economics and timelines. But perception drives narrative, and narrative drives watch time. If viewers believe Meghan Markle lost influence while Joe Rogan gained it, any rumor that proves that belief will race ahead of corrections. Finally, there's reputational calculus. For a platform, jumping into rumor wars carries legal and brand risk. Staying vague is safer. For creators, weighing in is upside, views, subs, growth, so long as they couch claims as opinion or alleged. That asymmetry explains why speculation often speaks louder than statements. One side is rewarded for speed, the other is punished for missteps. So how does all of this land on the people at the center, Meghan Markle, Joe Rogan, and Spotify, when the smoke clears? Next, the reputation math. Who actually gains, who bleeds, and why it keeps repeating. For Meghan Markle, the rumor is a double-edged blade. On one side, it feeds a familiar caricature, controlling, thin-skinned, power-calling at midnight. That hurts with fence-sitters who are tired of palace-adjacent drama. On the other side, it reactivates fans who see Meghan as a woman pushed into impossible PR corners. They rally, post defenses, and flood timelines with counter-narratives. Even without proof, the cycle polarizes, and polarization is reach. For Joe Rogan, the story is almost frictionless. Whether the rumor is true or not, it reinforces his brand as the guy you don't silence. Here's another attempt to shut me up, practically writes itself. His audience doesn't need a voicemail, they need a posture, and Joe Rogan's posture is consistent. The bigger the rumor, the more it feels like confirmation of what his listeners already believe about media pressure. For Spotify, the win is paradoxical. Neutrality performs. If the platform looks calm while creators and audiences argue inside its walls, it benefits from the attention without owning the claim. Jump in too hard and it inherits the fight. Stay general and it collects the traffic. That's why the platform voice is usually boilerplate during these storms. Quiet enough not to inflame, clear enough to avoid legal exposure. Why it repeats is simple. Everyone's incentives stack toward again. Meghan Markle's name guarantees engagement. Joe Rogan's name guarantees engagement. A rumor that pretends to pit them against each other guarantees engagement squared. Unless a primary source artifact lands, the kind of receipt that ends the conversation, this triangle will keep pulling new claims into its orbit because audiences have already chosen roles. Hero, villain, referee. Swap the plot details. The cast stays the same. We've traced the spark, the facts, the viral mechanics, the comms playbook, the scorecard, and the business incentives. Now, zoom out. What should viewers learn from this beyond one rumor? A midnight takedown call makes great theater, but the real lesson isn't about Meghan Markle, Joe Rogan, or Spotify. It's about the gap between what trends and what's proven. Rumors thrive because they're short, dramatic, and easy to retell. Receipts are slower, specific, and harder to make entertaining. If you remember one thing, make it this: repetition is not verification. When a story like this explodes, ask 3 fast questions. 1. Where's the primary artifact? Audio, logs, filings. 2. Who benefits if I believe this today? Growth, clout, clicks. 3. What's the clean, dated timeline that exists without adjectives? If a claim survives those checks, it's probably worth your attention. If it doesn't, it's probably worth your skepticism. Meghan Markle, Joe Rogan, and Spotify will keep showing up in the same headlines because they're gravitational bodies in the modern media sky. The only way to avoid getting pulled by that gravity is to control your own context. Follow receipts, not repeats. Value timestamps over takes. And remember that the loudest clip is rarely the clearest truth.